had trouble making eye contact. So very, very shut down relationally. And then after the ayahuasca session, he comes in. Can I give you a hug? Life is so wonderful. If one of his anxieties was about money, and he said, if you have money and you don't have love, then what's it worth? And if you have love and you don't have money, so get to chayitza, figure it out. I said, how long is this going to last? So 3 or 4 days later, I get a text, crash. So during the session, what we had done to get a little bit more permanence, I gave him a paper with a circle in it, and he colored the inside of the circle with a bright yellow color, and a picture of himself and his wife and his family. And on the outside were ominous black lines. Those were representing all the anxieties, all the worries that he had. And inside, with his family in this bubble, it's bright, it's love, it's beautiful, and don't have to. You can have a bubble and keep all the negativity away. So after I got the text crash, I said, I texted to him back, where's the yellow brightness? And so he texted back, I'm outside it and trying to find a way in. So he came in the next week, or a few days later, whenever it was, and we got back in. And he came in another time, and we deepened that feeling. The challenge with this type of experience is knowing what to believe and what not. And this was discussed earlier a bit. We might be sure about the meaning of an experience. I know exactly what to do about it. So quit this job immediately and divorce my spouse and make other radical changes. But do we really know the true meaning? Integration here means that the message is true not only for us now, but also in a week, in a month, in a year, and for everyone else around us. It remains true. So observers of this type of radical change might question, where does this come from? Where does is this Ruach HaKodesh? Is this Dimyan? Is this Kefes HaTumah? And all the questions that have been asked. How secure can we be from the information gleaned or revealed in these sessions? And so we need our Rabbanim to give us guidance, and it's important not to make any decisions unless you've spoken it over with appropriate people. Often, the people having these questions are not the one that had the experience. It's so clear, there's no question. It's just true. It just is, and that makes it all the more scarier for the people that are observing. And then, in the highest category, the change is automatic and permanent. So you might think that no problem for integration here, right? I mean, just change happened. But actually, I think here the challenge for integration is strongest and maybe most difficult. Firstly, the new way of living might be surprising, and getting used to it can take time to develop. So just talking it over, what does this mean if I'm now like this, if I'm not, this relationship is different, or whatever the issue is. Also, in our close-knit and caring community, others might not understand what's happening with the sudden change. So a client of mine benefited from using ayahuasca, and he went through a difficult experience, something that would be difficult for everybody. And ayahuasca helped him with this too. So friends of him were very concerned. Why are you so calm? You're supposed to be, this is a major thing. You're pushing away, you're avoiding your emotions. And he said, what, am I supposed to fall apart? I don't understand. I know that everything that happens is from Hashem and comes for a good reason. And there's a lesson to be learned. And I know what the lesson is. So what, I shouldn't keep my daily schedule? What's the problem? So it was hard for him, or he didn't know that others don't learn their messages from everything that happens to them. They don't have the ayahuasca telling them all the secrets. And so that's why people are surprised. But then I think in a broader sense, integration is needed in the general community. How will people that have these tremendous spiritual experiences, the amunah chushis, how will they relate to the general observing community, the general frum community that lacks the experience of seeing and knowing Hashem firsthand? Will people feel distant, different, and unable to appreciate the regular Torah mitzvahs, the regular tefillah of people that, unfortunately, their observance is more mitzvahs anashim milamah? It's not necessarily a bad thing to want more spirituality, but it could leave someone stranded without a sense of belonging in a community. And I have a client that struggles with this. Can there also be developed a lack of emunah tzachavim chas v'shalom because of not seeing our leaders providing the same degree of spiritual growth that's experienced with substances or other mind-expanding methods? Also, how do we balance knowledge gained from psychedelics, which don't have a Messiah, with our precious Messiah? Someone recently asked me, so now we don't need any Sifrei Musar because we have Ayah? Chas v'shalom. But there's a need for guidance about how to integrate all this. There'll also likely be pushback from more conservative elements in the community about how psychedelics are influencing some. And again, guidance from the Rabbanim to help us navigate these waters will be needed. And I'm lucky to have Rabbi Shmuel here. I'd like to close with a bracha that we should always say to the Karev to Mala Oretz Deya Es Hashem. Kamayim Yom Lachas.
Amen. Is it Deya Hashem or Kaya?
In a very simple way, how would you recommend doing integration both one on his own time and with a therapist?
Well, it's going to
paper coloring.
Yeah, it's going to depend on the type of experience. I mean, there's such a. It's hard to. You have to know what the message what the message is, right? What's the message, and you want to reinforce that. So you can reinforce it behaviorally, do actions that support that. Emotionally, you can feel if it's a sense. There's a client who has a sense of he recognized he needed to have more confidence. He saw how much his lack of confidence was affecting him. So feeling confident. I mean, well, looking in the mirror and like telling the person in the mirror that how great he is and stuff that can work too. And it's just so. Somebody else has.
How is an experience that when someone's going through a journey and they're having divisions or whatever they're going through, and then they're sitting with the therapist who wasn't on that experience? How is that being? How is the integration working?
Yeah. There's. It's a great question. It's a great question. The same question I struggle to answer with all therapy. I didn't go through what he went through, and there's an attunement to what the client is feeling in the here and now. There's an energetic, an emotional, on whatever level that you're working, the therapist or the facilitator, the integrator should be attuned to whatever the client is experiencing.
It's also really important for the facilitator to be honest with himself until where we can take this person. It's very difficult because once you're already in a relationship and the person's still vulnerable because he came for help, well, the guy himself really knows, I helped him till here and I can't anymore.
I think one of the questions was advice for facilitators or people aspiring facilitators. I think having a team of integration is important, and this is part of what we're doing here. Not only for shilas about Torah mitzvahs and halacha, but also for facilitating. There should be an integration group. It meets every week or 2 weeks, and people should just come and have support like that.
Is it generally, in order to integrate with somebody, do you have to be working with them as like a client before and you know them well, or they just went on a ceremony and they're coming through?
It definitely helps. It definitely helps to be there before. There was a client came. Somebody came. I had not met him before, and he had a spiritual emergency, and I had not known him before, and just grounding, and wasn't able to get a full background, and I missed, there was a trauma history which I was not privy to, and it could be problematic. Although you do the best you can. You should meet with a client once or twice before a ceremony, at least to get the background, to know what they're trying to do, to set an intention. I mean, preparation for the journey is crucial. So, with whom are they setting their intentions?
I don't know if you have experience in this, but what kind of advice would you give for someone that, coming from psychedelic experience or experiences, is feeling like he needs to distance himself from observance, Jewish observance, religious observance, in order to free himself from the feeling of like, I need to do this, otherwise rejection, and balance that with his values or the values of his family, the community, and how would you?
Yeah, I mean, David mentioned before about not judging people, or this is wrong or that's wrong, and this is a general therapy question. People, I don't want to push them either way.
Do you feel like it's important?
It's a larger question. Is this a bigger question for psychedelics than regular therapy? I would think that it's less for psychedelics, because psychedelics they're healing. There's this holotropic, this self-healing is coming out. I think the therapist is doing less as an integration coach or a facilitator than regular therapy. So it's problematic. I mean, it's a challenge. One has to navigate it. Yeah.
So let's say a person wants to do integration, and if they're sitting with ayahuasca, where the facilitator usually doesn't do integration with them afterwards, would you say that they would be better off doing integration with somebody who has already journeyed versus their own therapist who has never journeyed, or would it make sense for them to speak with both?
It's sometimes not a question, because many therapists are not comfortable doing it, so they'd be forced to. I don't think it's that difficult to read up a little bit about what psychedelics are, get an understanding. I mean, there's so much material out there. The person had a dreamlike vision, and then, I mean, so if the therapist is attuned and somatically inclined and energetically connected, I think it's better than, but probably a case by case.
Can we hear from the other?
Sure. Do you have the response to that? Is it טוב יותר להיות אינטגרציה עם התרפיסט שלו, או עם מישהו שהוא מומחה הוא עשה את
תלוי למה.
החוויה?
תלוי למה. מי יכול לתרגם אותי?
אני יכול לתרגם אותי.
תלוי למה. יש דברים שכמו שהרב הזכיר, שהם יותר כמו פתרון של חלום. פתרון של חלום עדיף מישהו שמבין לפתור חלומות. יש שאלות אחרות שקשורות למה נכון לעשות עם זה, איך לתווך את זה לכלים הנפשיים. זה יותר מתאים לתרפיסט. זה יותר מועיל. יש לו פשוט כלים יותר מפותחים זה מדי ארוך, מההתחלה.
כן, כן.
היא שאלה אם עדיף לעשות אינטגרציה עם מישהו שהיא עשתה אני חושב שזה תלוי במה. יש דברים שמישהו שמכיר את החוויה פסיכדלית מבפנים, הוא יכול לעזור לו בעניין, למשל להגיד לו, מזה אתה לא צריך לפחד, זה דבר שהוא לא... נתחיל מזה, שהוא נתקע עם הרבה חומר.
Go, tell it again. Go.
משם.
I can only do 15 words at a time. That's my max.
He said that
it depends on what the experience is. If it's the fact alone it's a psychedelic experience, is someone that does psychedelics and goes through the experience will understand him better, able to guide him in telling him which visions are, he should, what he should be scared of, what he should not be scared of. He could reassure him, he could understand him, and meet him exactly where he is, because he also went through the same experience. When it comes to stuff that are connected to the nefesh, to the emotions of a person, which is something that's more the job of a therapist, so it might be more compatible to go to a therapist and deal with that part.
עד שיהיה לנו תרפיסט שהוא גם יהיה שמן וגם יהיה זה, אז...
So if you get a therapist that is a shaman together, then that's what we'll need to do. But there aren't any problems.
גם לא בטוח שיהיה לו זמן, תמיד זה יצטרכו מבוקש.
אוקיי.
אין שאלות, הכל ברור.
Are there any serious negative things that can happen afterwards? Like any long-lasting negative effects? So you.
הוא שואל אם יש כזה מושג שבן אדם לוקח, משתמש בסייקדליקס ובסוף הוא יכול לקבל long term effect, משהו כמו diagnosis.
תופעות לוואי שליליות.
כן, יענו שממשיכים, יכול לסחוב איתו את זה כל החיים שלו.
כל דבר אפשר להשתמש גם ברע. זה האמת.
הוא לא מדבר על זה.
אבל הוא לא מדבר על זה, הוא מבקש, הוא שואל האם בן אדם יש לו experience, חוויה נגטיב, לא נגטיבית.
האם אפשר לרפא את זה? או שהוא חייב להישאר עם זה כל החיים?
לא, האם קרה מצב שבן אדם לקח פסיכדליה ובסוף הוא השתבש, לא יודע, זה long term effects.
לא יצא לו טוב.
הוא עשה שלא, או שנשאר לו אחר כך...
למשך זמן ארוך.
אם יש, הוא שואל ככה, אם יש לו חוויה, ואחרי זה החוויה גורם לו שיהיה לו תגובות שליליות לזה לזמן ארוך. אם יש כזה מושג.
או לחיים.
או לחיים, שזה יגרום לו משהו ש...
חזר מהחוויה ו...
או שאי אפשר לתקן, או... הוא מפחד מגרומות, שליליות.
You can have a psychotic. It can trigger a psychotic episode. It can trigger a psychosis.
Yeah? Is that like
I don't know. אם יש במשפחה psychosis, זה different.
כן, לא, זה אומר שלא קשור לבעיות.
הרב אמר מקודם שיש כאלה אנשים שזה בכלל לא, בכלל מתאים להם לקחת בכלל פסיכדלים. איך אפשר לדעת, יש איזה משהו, איפה להתחיל, איך אפשר לדעת מי כן מתאים לו, מי לא מתאים לו. כי יש הרבה אנשים שזה נראה שמאוד נצח להם, אבל יכול להיות שאין לו ידע, פנימיות, ולכן...
אני מרגיש שהרב שמרלה יש לו תשובה ואני לא רוצה לעצור את זה, אז קודם כל נשמע את התשובה שלו. ככה אני מרגיש.
I feel like Shmuel had the answer, and I don't want to hold him back.
You're asking a very good question. How does a person know if he's ready for a psychedelic and if psychedelic is safe for him?
Yes.
And the answer is, I think, that the person, the client, the person who is suffering and who wants to do it, he doesn't have the ability to judge this. He needs to meet with somebody who serves psychedelics, who is enough of a mumche to evaluate the person and decide if he is ready, if he will benefit, and from which psychedelic he is most likely to benefit. And that's why there's a need to always consult with somebody who is very knowledgeable in the field of psychedelics. It's not something that somebody himself could decide. Nobody here has enough experience and knowledge to make that decision. It's only people who have been trained and who have years of experience and who have a certain amount of knowledge of which psychedelics is good for what and which conditions are not compatible with psychedelics. That's what it is.
Of someone that the road approves of.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, I know.
knows the psychedelics and can tell someone.
Yes, I mean, you know, hopefully the people who serve David, you know, have that knowledge. That's why I said that That's, I didn't say that reason, but I said nobody is allowed to do psychedelics on his own, right? First of all, because I didn't mention this point, I mentioned that during the ceremony, you need somebody to make sure that you are safe. But also before the ceremony, you need to be evaluated by somebody who has a knowledge and ability to evaluate you.
Is there such a thing of having too much ceremonies? Is there such a thing as too much?
יש כאלה דבר לשתות.
יותר מדי. What do you mean? Too many ceremonies? Or in one specific ceremony to drink too much?
1 week, 2 weeks, and 4 weeks, and 2 months.
Yechiel, could you answer this question?
What? I have that.
Is there such a thing as drinking too
many ceremonies.
Too many ceremonies.
1 week, 2 weeks, then a month, 2 months, then every 3 weeks.
Can need a few
Yechiel,
get rid of the trauma, but then it gets too much.
I spoke to him.
But he wants to know how much is too much.
Everyone has their own teachers or rabbis or therapists.
A person can get a place where they
Smack in the face during the ceremony.
Exactly. Because there's such a concept of a person in a state that he's always in ceremony. He's always in that heightened state of consciousness that he knows he's in the wrong place.
I'm sorry?
When a person takes psychedelics consistently in large amounts, he could end up lavdafka psychotic, but in a state of very much heightened sense of consciousness and sensitivity, strong energy, and that could also hinder his productivity throughout the day. So I think it depends on person by person how much you can handle in all the situations.
Sure. It's a very personal decision. Yes. No, if it's pretty subjective.
When should a person that brings to another question. When does the person know if it's time to drink again?
Yeah. So
okay.
I was thinking, tell me if this makes sense. If you feel that you don't have more to gain from the previous one, then it's time to drink again. So either the experience was too subtle and you can't squeeze anything else out of it, or you got something out of it and actualized it and integrated it, or if it was too much sometimes and you can't integrate it, you can't contain it, sometimes the second time could help figure it out. Those were 3 cases when this is the more conservative approach. Do it when you've already milked the earlier one for what it can give you.
So when a person comes out of a ceremony feeling that it went extremely deep, but they can't really put it into words, they know there's something very, very deep there. Just they lack the meaning and.
Are they working with somebody?
Yes.
I mean, could they figure it out? They try to work it out and try to figure it out. Okay, and if they can't get it, then try again. That's what I was thinking. But David, what do you say? מה הזמן לעשות עוד חוויה?
מתי?
השאלה מה המטרה של הבן אדם.
The question is what the intention of the person is.
אדם שצריך רפואה,
person that needs healing,
יכול להיות תקופה שהוא יצטרך ממש איזשהו רצף בשביל לצאת מהמצב שלו.
Could be a time where he needs going through a kufa, he needs assistance to get through this.
Consecutive.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Okay.
אבל אם זה מצב שאדם מרגיש שהדבר הזה הוא כמו בריחה.
If there's a situation where a person feels like an escape route, just drink, escape, yeah.
אז לפעמים הרפואה שלו צריכה גם רפואה.
So his healing needs healing. It actually goes to the question I was going to ask. We'll get to that in a minute.
זה בסדר, זה לא כזה נורא להיכשל בסרמוני אחד ספר שהלכת בטעות, כי בסדר.
It's okay if you did an extra spear ceremony and a little extra, okay.
אבל אם זה הולך ונהיה שיטה שאין לך...
It becomes like, you have too many spare tires, then we got a problem. Yeah, the guy opens his trunk, he's got...
רק תהיה מודע, צריך להיות מודע לזה, רק שאתה הולך לזה לא בשביל
You should have
משהו...
awareness that you're going through ceremony for
לפעמים זה עדיף מאלטרנטיבות אחרות שאדם מוצא לעצמו אם קשה לו. זה באמת אינדיבידואלי מאוד.
היה גברת שהיה לה שאלה.
I wonder if there's a component of, because I've heard that, and I want to know if it's part of, is there a piece that's addiction? Is there an addiction piece? I'd love to hear a little more about that.
רוצה לדעת אם how you say addiction in Hebrew? התמכרות? התמכרות בפסיכודליה. יש כזה מצב שבן אדם יכול להתחיל עם פסיכודליה ואז הוא מקבל התמכרות לזה.
יש חומרים, נגיד לקנאביס, אני לא יודע אם הוא נמצא בקטגוריה, אבל אני יודע שאנשים יכולים להתמכר.
He says he knows that there are certain substances that are possible to become addicted to, like cannabis.
בצד השני, נגיד איוואסקה.
But on the other hand, ayahuasca.
אני לא פגשתי מישהו שהתמכר.
He hasn't found anybody yet that has been addicted to ayahuasca.
אי אפשר לשתות את זה כל יום.
You can't. It's not something that you could just drink every day.
מי שמתמכר לזה.
He says if someone gets addicted to ayahuasca, then it should be his biggest problem. What? ומה עם שרום פטריות?
mushrooms
אפשר לחלוק על הרב? אפשר לחלוק? כי זה לא התמכרות לעצם שתייה, זה התמכרות שהוא בורח.
דיברנו על זה, זה אמרנו קודם, שאם זה בריחה, זה עניין אחר.
כן.
פשוט להיות מודע לזה.
So there is that addictive component of running off
spiritual bypass.
Correct, yeah. So basically there is this addictive component of, oh, I need to go to ceremony now because I got this problem in my life.
Just living life between ceremonies.
There's a thrill, there's exhilaration, there's the Dovan Ora. And that can be attraction also. It's not a formal addiction in a physical withdrawal sense. It can be addicted to the experience.
נכון. אני אבל לא יכול לדעת, לפעמים אדם כזה, אפילו אם זה בריחה, יש מצבים שהאלטרנטיבות של האדם הזה, אם לא יהיה לו את זה, הם יהיו יותר קשים, או יותר חמורים. צריך לבדוק מה האפשרויות שלו.
אני רציתי דווקא לשאול שאלה שקשור.
לתרגם את זה, שלא יהיה מצב
I wanted to actually ask this question. What?
You want to translate what you're saying?
What?
You want to translate?
You can translate.
Okay. So basically, that there is a possibility of getting addicted to spiritual bypassing, meaning running from one high to another, but sometimes the alternative is worse. You might get addicted and stuck to worse stuff. So we'd rather, this is like the harm reduction, like what's the lesser harm?
זה לא חוכמה לפסול מישהו, להגיד לו, תשמע, אתה זה, אבל לא להיכנס לסיטואציה איתו ולמצוא מה הוא צריך באמת. רק לחסום לו משהו ולא לתת לו לנשום והוא חייב משהו באמת בבעיה, זה חלקי.
אני דווקא היה לי...
כל זה למצוא...
קצת תרגום.
מה?
רק שתרגום, שאני...
אתה רוצה שתרגם?
You can translate.
מה?
You want to translate what he
לא
said.
שמעתי.
אני אומר שלפעמים זה לא חוכמה להגיד לבן אדם אל תעשה את זה כי אתה מחפש חוויות, אבל מצד שני להתעלם ממה הוא כן צריך.
כן.
זה אני צריך תרגום.
כן. The idea is not to tell someone to do yes to do it or not to do it. It's not about yes or no. It's about getting to know the person, understanding his needs, understanding what might be good for him, going in his judging by the situation itself, the context, and helping him from there. Not just about, okay, you know, you're doing too much, stop. Oh, you know what? Yeah, you could do however much you want. You look good.
רציתי להביא משהו, רציתי להגיד משהו לפני כן. I wanted to say something earlier that I feel like for example, one of the psychedelics that is getting like a bad rap is like in ayahuasca. People are like, oh, just do ayahuasca or you meet someone for the first time. Guy never did any grounded therapy. Guy never did any sort of
mindfulness.
What?
Mindfulness, self-reflection.
Yeah, anything. Like never did any of this work, and there's this new thing going around where people are like, yo, bro, come with me, man. I'm gonna show you something that's gonna change your life. And the guy takes a drink, comes back. He doesn't know. He's completely ungrounded. He's running around. He tells his wife, you know, you're not the one for me. It's his job. I've seen this happen.
הוא שואל ככה, והוא צודק, ככה נראה קיצון. הוא כן צודק, שנייה.
No, there are people that basically, what I'm trying to say is there are people that haven't done, יש אנשים שאף פעם לא עשו שום עבודה, any inner work, לא למדו מה זה boundaries, לא למדו מה זה groundedness, לא למדו מה זה לנשום ושלא יהיה להם, איך אומרים, anxiety וכל זה,